Welcome to The Explainer. There's a really weird paradox happening with AI right now. Companies are pouring billions, literally billions of dollars into it. But here's the kicker. Almost none of these projects are actually working. So what on earth is going on? Let's dive in and figure out how to get it right.
Okay, let's just start with a number that should honestly stop you in your tracks. A recent MIT study found that a staggering 95% of enterprise Gen AI projects, they completely fail to make any real difference to revenue. That's not just a small hiccup, right? That is a massive, systemic problem. So what's hiding behind this crazy number?
And this slide, wow, it really shows you the huge gap between the hype and what's actually happening. On one side, you've got the hype machine running full steam. Billions invested, talk of a $13 trillion economic boost, and pretty much every company trying to get in on the action. But then, you look at the reality on the ground. Almost every project fails its goals. Most get stuck in what people call pilot purgatory, and there's almost nothing to show for it on the bottom line. This is the great AI divide.
So to really get this, we have to look past all the noise and find the hidden roadblocks. And it turns out, the failures pretty much always boil down to three things: a bad strategy, broken tech, and maybe most importantly, people. First up, a flawed strategy. This is really where the seeds of failure get planted right from the start. Way too many companies have this technology-first mindset. They're chasing the newest, shiniest AI tool without stopping to ask the most basic question: what business problem are we even trying to solve here? And what I love about this chart is how it shows you exactly where the money's going wrong. The data is super clear. The biggest bang for your buck comes from automating boring back-office stuff, data processing, internal workflows. But where does all the money go? It gets funneled into the flashy marketing and sales tools. It's a classic case of chasing something that looks cool instead of something that creates real value. Okay, so the second huge roadblock is the very foundation of any AI: your data and your tech. I mean, you could have the most brilliant algorithm in the world, but if you feed it messy, unreliable data, guess what? You're going to get messy, unreliable results back. It's really that simple. Garbage in, garbage out. And I love this quote from Yali Sassoon because it just nails a huge misconception. People think you can just clean up bad data later. Nope. High-quality data has to be created intentionally, from the ground up. This is exactly why data scientists say they spend up to 80% of their time just cleaning and prepping data before they can even start building a model. All the hard work is in the prep. But here's the thing. Even if you have the perfect strategy and pristine data, projects still fail. And why is that? It's because of the last and honestly the most forgotten roadblock: the human element. Technology doesn't just exist on a server somewhere. It has to be used by real people doing their real jobs every single day. Now get this. According to Gartner, the average employee had to deal with 10 major company changes in 2022. Just for perspective, that's up from only 2 back in 2016. That's 5 times the amount of disruption. The pace of change right now is just relentless. So what happens with all that constant change? You get what's called change fatigue. Almost half of all workers feel totally burned out. And when people are that exhausted, what's the very last thing they want to do? Learn another complicated new tool. This fatigue just builds a wall of resistance that can kill an AI project before it even has a chance. Okay, so that's a lot about the problems. How do we actually fix this? What are the successful companies, that tiny 5%? What are they doing differently? Well, it turns out they're following a pretty specific playbook. It all starts with something called AI governance. Now, I know that sounds kind of boring and corporate, but it's not just a compliance checkbox. Think of it as the foundational rulebook for how your company is going to handle AI responsibly. And the most important part? It has to be a forethought. You plan it from the beginning, not an afterthought you scramble to fix when things go sideways. And a really solid governance plan is built on 3 main pillars. First, managing your data quality, which we've already seen is absolutely essential. Second, making sure you have rock-solid security and privacy to build trust and protect information. And third, a real commitment to using AI ethically and responsibly, so you can deal with issues like fairness and bias. This quote right here, it perfectly captures the mindset shifts that has to happen. So many of the failed projects are treated like these isolated little science experiments. The successful ones, they're designed from day one to be fully integrated business systems. This image of mosaic tiles is actually a perfect way to think about it. You don't just build one giant, clunky thing all at once.
Instead, you create this beautiful, strong, and scalable system by fitting together smaller, well-designed, modular pieces. Each little part has its purpose, and they all contribute to the bigger picture.
So what does the systems thinking actually look like in the real world? It means you stop doing one-off pilots, you start designing for scale from day one using these modular, reusable parts. And maybe most important of all, you focus on integrating the AI into the workflows people already use, and you treat it with the same seriousness as any other core product you develop.
And this all leads to a final, really practical shift. The failing approach is trying to build some massive custom AI solution from scratch. It's super expensive and incredibly risky. The successful approach is often buy now, build later. You start with tools that are already on the market to learn fast, prove the value, and figure things out before you even think about committing to a huge internal project.
All right, let's bring this all home. How do we go from just throwing money at AI to actually making an impact with it? The path from failure to success is actually pretty clear, but, and this is a big but, it takes real discipline.
So here's what it all boils down to. You've got to stop focusing on the technology itself and start focusing on the results you want to achieve. You have to build that unglamorous but absolutely essential foundation of great data and clear rules. And you can never, ever forget the people. If you don't earn their trust, you're going nowhere. In short, stop treating AI like a science experiment and start treating it like a core part of your business.
So I'll just leave you with this one last crucial question to think about. Is your organization just building another isolated AI model, one that's probably destined to become part of that 95% failure stat? Or are you strategically building an AI-ready business, an organization that has the strategy, the foundation, and the culture to actually win with AI? Because the difference between those two things, well, that's everything.